I feel like the best thing that I've tried to live by is like to just be the same person that I am off the court, whether I'm, leaving my apartment every single day or whether I'm here sitting in front of all of you.
Wants to scream Black Lives Matter, wants to push some sort of political agenda. She just wants to ball.
The WNBA is in serious trouble after the latest TV ratings are in. With Caitlin Clark being eliminated, fan interest is at an all-time low, and the numbers without Clark in the picture are not pretty. The league is going to have to shut down if they can't do something about it, and with Caitlin Clark flirting with the idea of going overseas to play or quitting basketball altogether to become a pro golfer, the league is in all-out panic. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA has been nothing short of a phenomenon. She's not just any rookie, she's a game changer, the kind of player who instantly draws fans and fills arenas. But here's where things get really interesting. Now that Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever have been eliminated from the playoffs, the WNBA is facing a serious reality check. Suddenly, the league that was riding high just a few weeks ago is seeing attendance drop, ticket prices plummet, and TV ratings tank. How did we go from $4,000 courtside seats to $10 playoff tickets almost overnight? Let's break it down. When Caitlin Clark first stepped onto the court, it wasn't just another game, it was an event. She didn't just play basketball, she transformed the experience. Her debut against the Connecticut Sun pulled in an insane 2.1 million viewers on ESPN, the most watched WNBA game ever on that network. It was a game changer not only for the Indiana Fever, but for the entire league. Fans couldn't get enough. People who had never tuned into a WNBA game before were now glued to their screens.
Yes, if you could tell us what that post meant to you, and if you are in fact potentially going to endorse Kamala Harris.
Her games became can't-miss events, and her presence at the stadium made tickets hotter than ever. And the numbers? Oh, they were astronomical. Caitlin Clark wasn't just elevating her own profile, she was pulling the entire WNBA up with her. Ticket sales for her games jumped by 93% in 2024. Let me say that again, 93%. That kind of surge wasn't supposed to happen for another 5 or 6 years, but Clark didn't just accelerate the timeline, she obliterated it. Suddenly, WNBA games had the same kind of buzz as major NBA matchups. Social media was flooded with highlights of Clark draining ridiculous three-pointers from way beyond the arc. Bars and living rooms across the country were buzzing about her performances. People were paying hundreds, even thousands of dollars to witness her magic in person. For her regular season game against Angel Reese, courtside tickets were selling for over $4,000. That's the kind of ticket price you'd expect for a finals game in the NBA or a Beyoncé concert, not for a regular season WNBA match. But here's where the story takes a turn. With Caitlin and the Indiana Fever now eliminated from the playoffs, the WNBA is finding itself in a very different place. Attendance has nosedived, ratings have dropped nearly 50%, and those $4,000 courtside seats, they're now going for around $100. I'm not exaggerating when I say you can grab a seat at a playoff game for less than the cost of a movie ticket. Think about that for a second.
Myself is, I have this amazing platform, so I think the biggest thing would be just to encourage people to register to vote. I think for myself, it's the second time I can vote in an election.
When you talk about greats in this game, the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and the Steph Currys, they are putting her in that category, the Diana Taurasi's.
Tickets that once sold for hundreds of dollars are now going for as low as $10. You could buy a whole row and still have enough left over for snacks. What happened? The simple answer is the Caitlin Clark effect. When Clark was playing, she wasn't just putting up numbers, she was putting on a show. Fans weren't just there to watch basketball, they were there to witness history. She drew in a crowd that the WNBA had never seen before, and when she was eliminated, that excitement evaporated. It's like the league went from being front-page news to barely making the sports section. The fever dream is over, and what's left behind is a league scrambling to figure out how to keep fans engaged without their biggest star. But the real question is, why did the WNBA hitch its wagon so completely to one player? Sure, Clark's star power was undeniable. She was breaking records, drawing massive crowds, and boosting TV ratings like no one before her. But when you build your league's entire identity around a single player, what happens when that player is no longer in the spotlight? That's the situation the WNBA is in right now. Take the Minnesota Lynx versus Connecticut Sun playoff game, for example. It was held in an arena built to hold 20,000 fans, yet only 9,000 seats were filled. The atmosphere wasn't just lacking, it was ghostly. The energy that Caitlin Clark brought to every game was nowhere to be found. It's like watching a sold-out concert turn into an open mic night. And it's not just the empty seats that are concerning. The TV ratings tell the same story. After Caitlin's elimination, viewership dropped significantly.
I think do that. That's the biggest thing I can do with the platform that I have.
Let's run that. I think her ability to lead this team as a rookie, she's really starting to step into that role, and I think that's exciting to see as well.
Game 1 of the Aces vs. Liberty series drew only 929,000 viewers, down nearly 50% from when the Fever were still in the running. The difference is staggering, and it's clear that fans tuned in to watch Clark, not just the WNBA. But here's where it gets really interesting: the league's response. Instead of addressing the glaring issue head-on, it feels like they're shrugging it off. They're slashing ticket prices, moving games to ESPN2, and hoping that fans will still show up. It's like they're trying to pretend that everything's fine, even as the roof caves in. But let's be real. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and ignoring the problem isn't going to make it go away. What the league needs to do now is figure out how to keep the excitement alive without relying on one player. The Caitlin Clark effect was incredible, but it exposed a deeper issue. The WNBA needs to build a league where multiple players can capture the public's imagination. Look at the NBA. Sure, there's LeBron James, but there's also Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. The NBA isn't just the LeBron show, and that's why it thrives even when one star isn't on the court. The WNBA needs to take a page from that playbook. They need to create rivalries, build storylines, and highlight other players who can keep fans coming back, even when Clark isn't playing. Imagine if every game felt like an event, not just because of one star, but because there's real excitement and drama on the court. And here's something else to consider. What if the WNBA embraced a more dynamic approach to its branding?
Like I said, she's a special player. She commands so much defensive attention, and I think that's one of the